Woody Allen may be a persona non grata in 2025 for obvious reasons, but by the early 70s, he was sort of the master, no pun intended, of like a sexual kind of parody comedy. Everything you want to know about sex, you're afraid to ask. And this one, yes, it's about a revolutionary war, but there's a lot of kind of sex jokes in it that will keep all the Woody Allen sex comedy fans happy. It's called Bananas. The 71 American comedy film was directed by Allen and starred him, Louise Lasser, and Carlos Montalban. Written by Allen and Mickey Rose, the film is about a bumbling New Yorker who, after being dumped by his activist girlfriend, travels to a tiny Latin American nation and becomes involved in the latest revolution. Parts of the plot are based on a book, Don Quixote, USA, by Richard P. Powell. Filmed on location in New York City and Puerto Rico, it was a box office hit, and it was released to positive reviews from critics, and is in number 78 on Bravo's 100 Funniest Movies, and number 69 on EFI's 100 Years, 100 Laughs in 2000. Now, the film opens with, of all people, Don Dumphy and Howard Cosell of their coverage of an assassination of the president of the fictional Banana Republic of San Marcos and the coup d'etat that brings General Emilio Melino Vargas to power. Now, Fielding Mellish, the real name of the character, is a neurotic blue-collar man who tries to impress social activist Nancy by connecting with the revolution at San Marcos. Now, before this happens, he has a confrontation with two thugs on the subway, kind of a rolling gag, and actually one of them is Sylvester Stallone. So that's where a lot of people remembered Sly after this and Rocky, Lords of Flatbush. Now, the Allen character visits the Republic and attempts to show his concern for the native people. However, Vargas secretly orders his men, disguised as Vargas' opponents, to kill him to make the rebels look bad so the U.S. will send Vargas financial aid. Mellish evades Vargas' assassins but is shortly captured by the real rebels. Vargas declares Mellish dead regardless, leaving Mellish no choice but to join the rebels for 2 months. Mellish then clumsily learns how to be a revolutionary. When the revolution is successful, Esposito, the Castro's town leader, goes crazy. The rebels decide to replace him with Mellish as their president. Now, while traveling back to the States to obtain financial aid, Mellish, sporting a long fake beard, reunites with Nancy and is exposed. In court, Mellish tries to defend himself from a series of incriminating witnesses, including a reigning Miss America and a middle-aged African-American woman claiming to be J. Edgar Hoover in disguise. One of the witnesses does provide testimony favorable to Mellish, but the court clerk, when asked to read back the testimony, replies with an entirely different, wholly unfavorable rendition. Mellish is eventually sentenced to prison, but he's sentenced suspended on the condition that he does not move into the judge's neighborhood. Nancy then agrees to marry him. The film ends with Howard Cosell's coverage of the Between the Covers consummation of their marriage, an event that was over much more quickly than Nancy had anticipated, with Mellish anticipating a rematch in the early spring. So, Woody Allen as Fielding Mellish, his recently divorced wife Louise Lasser as Nancy, Howard Cosell and Don Dumphy as themselves, and again Roger Grimsby as himself, with Charlotte Raine early performance as Mrs. Mellish. Now, Eda Bart and Nicholas Sanders make their theatrical debuts as the characters Paul and Douglas, while comedian Conrad Bain of Maude and the Different Strokes fame plays Semple, and actor Alan Garfield plays the Man on the Cross. Uncredited appearances include Sylvester Stallone as the subway thug number 1, Mary Jo Catlin as a woman in the hotel lobby, and Tino Garcia in an undisclosed role. According to an interview in the notes of the film's DVD release, Allen said there's absolutely no blood in the film, even during executions, because he wanted to keep the light comedic tone of the film intact, which is true. Now, Allen and Lasser had been married from 66 to 70 and were divorced at the time the film was made. Kind of shades of, Mia Farrow and our lady from Annie Hall. Now, the verdict in Mellish legal case portrays the headline of a Garage Grimsby newscast, including the scene as a parody television advertising for New Testament cigarettes with a Catholic priest, played by Don Fraser, promoting the fictitious brand while performing the sacrament of the Eucharist. The movie received a C-condemned classification from the National Catholic Office of Motion Pictures because of this spoof, and I think it got it from Quebec as well. Now, the title is a pun, bananas being slang for crazy, as well as being a reference to the phrase Banana Republic, describing the film setting. When Allen was asked why the film was called Bananas, his reply was because there are no bananas in it. Some winter writers have made the connection between this and the coconuts the first film by the Marx Brothers, by whom Allen was heavily influenced at the time, and would feature no coconuts. Typical Marxist. Now, Marvel Hamlish does a couple of songs in it as well. And now, Bananas, again, well received by the critics. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 80%, 83% of 35 critic reviews are positive, with an average rating of 7.5 out of 10. Of course, I meant to say Diane Keaton, by the way. Metacritic would use as a weighted scale, assign the film 67 out of 100, based on 7 critics. Now, Vincent Canby of New York Times praised the film, saying Allen's view of the world is fraught with everything except pathos, as a view I happen to find very funny. Gene Siskel gave the film 3 stars out of 4 and called the opening scene one of the funniest bits on film, though he thought the romance gets in the way and could have been omitted easily. Charles Champlin of the LA Times wrote, Allen seems to be unable to figure a suitable finish over the plot, which does not so much peak as stop. Still, the best jokes have a glorious insanity about them, giving the diminished ability to laugh like blazing idiots these days. Bananas is welcome, even Allen is not quite top for his form. Again, a lot of people believe Bananas is his 5th best movie. Like, you look at late 60s, early 70s of what Woody Allen was doing, it was almost standard routines with whoever his paramour was at the moment. But why Bananas works, but Sleeper is more of a science fiction comedy, but the why Bananas work at the time, ladies and gentlemen, Howard Cosell was becoming a parody of himself. So him appearing in the movie, it's a parody of a parody of a parody of a parody. And what's kind of bizarre, usually Don Dumphy and Howard Cosell never worked together. We know that Woody Allen was a big boxing fan, which we kind of find out later on with Mighty Aphrodite. But in this movie, but Louise Lasser, no disrespect, she's a terrible actress, and I think Allen was glad to get rid of her because in the scenes in which she appears, like it's a mentally ill person trying to be comedic. Like I said, I don't know if you call it bipolarism or schizoaffective or schizophrenia. But Allen basically, it's not like Mel Brooks comedy or Sid Caesar, but it got that Jewish aesthetic where I'm going to hit you with this. If you find it funny, I'm going to try to get you to hit it with this. But the idea, the opening scene could have been funnier if you would have got the kill dictator would say, you know, I blame my quartermen or something like that, what Cosell would say, you know. But Cosell is, I haven't seen something like this in '64 in Miami Beach or whatever. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've seen actually first time I saw Bananas in French, which gives us a whole different perspective. But the scene where he's looking at the nudie magazines at this newsstand, a lot of people in Canada can relate to that because you had Cat Review and Time Canada and Weekend Magazine right by the porn magazines in the same area. No plastic back then. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing with screenshots with our Woody Allen movies, let us know in the like, comment, subscribe, or share.